One Question is designed to give subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences.
Greetings, this is Ty Brown and welcome to One Question. I'm here at the 2018 NCAA Convention and I'm joined by Portia Hoeg. She's the Director of Athletics at Allegheny College. Thanks for joining us, Portia.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Portia, you've been the AD there at Allegheny for 6 years, and from what I know about you, you are a true Division III champion. Would you consider yourself that?
I would say that's a very accurate assessment, yes.
Okay, and so you served on the Division III Management Council, and you spent a lot of time in areas and discussions of people about the concerns of the future of Division III, right?
Mm-hmm, yes.
What would you say are some of the major issues or concerns that your fellow athletic directors and presidents are maybe worried about with the future of Division III athletics?
Sure. I think right now the biggest issue facing Division III institution, in particular private liberal arts schools, are the declining high school population. So certain parts of the country, the number of individuals who are eligible or capable of going into college is declining at a rate that means that all of the colleges are impacted by that. So the people that you tap into that may matriculate at your institutions is declining every year. So along with that, also being at a private liberal arts institution, the high cost and high tuition to attend an institution of that level, it's been difficult to overcome because I don't think people necessarily equivocate the value of the education with the amount of money that they're paying to go there, especially as community colleges and junior colleges have a lot of options out there, very affordable options. I think the value of a liberal arts institution is being lost and not quite understood by a large population. From the athletic standpoint, there's always the arms race, especially as you see Division I institutions building these bigger and crazy sized facilities, and they've got 200 different uniform combinations, and our student athletes and potential prospective student athletes see that and they want that of their own experience, and we do not have the budgets that those institutions have, or even that they generate through their different revenue sources. So that can be a challenge in and of itself because you want to provide a Division I experience but on a Division III level. So that's certainly something that we look at, and I think that's a challenge for all schools as we're trying to make sure our facilities are updated and they're adequately supported, whether that's from a support staff standpoint or a monetary standpoint, but we want to make sure that it is a high quality experience that we're providing to the student athletes.
That's interesting, and the last one you named probably is something you definitely see on campus, but some of the issues you mentioned, what of those are you dealing with specifically? Which ones really affect you?
I have the good fortune to interact with a lot of prospective student athletes and their parents, and I think even their line of questioning, what are the outcomes of an education at Allegheny College? I see the price tag is this, and we're potentially paying this. What does that mean? Is my kid going to get a job? Are they going to be at Starbucks? Are they going to be, living in my basement?
Right.
And so they're genuinely concerned about the outcomes of an education, a liberal arts education in particular. And I think sometimes you're just educating them that the degree that they obtain is not necessarily the field that they have to go in or that they'll want to go in. Some students are very dead set on, I want to be a business major. And it's like, well, their passion is in English or their passion is in psychology. There's nothing wrong with pursuing a degree in that, because the reality is no one stays in a job forever. And so just educating parents that a liberal arts education is broad enough and they're going to get the breadth and depth of learning how to speak well, think critically, learn how to present themselves. And those are intangibles that aren't necessarily taught in the classroom, but they're a result of the education, and that will carry with them no matter what field they go in, or even if they go into graduate school or going to a nonprofit. So I find myself explaining that a lot to some of our parents, especially those who don't have a familiarity with liberal arts education. But it's good to have those conversations because I see that it very much opens their eyes. It's not just about a transactional relationship, if you will. You're going to pay X amount, and you're going to go to this school for 4 years, and you're going to come out with this job getting paid this amount of money. It's more about getting transformed as a person and learning how to be a good citizen of the world when you graduate from Allegheny College.
Are the answers to those questions from parents and recruits, are they similar across Division III institutions in terms of the challenge of facing lower enrollment?
I believe it is. Even as I talk to my colleagues, I think that's one of the hot topics. I even believe we're going to be covering it in the Issues Forum today, just talking about how do we tackle this issue? How do we make sure that the college education can be affordable for these individuals? No one really wants to go into debt just for getting a quality education, but the Perkins loan has gone away from a government standpoint, so that makes it even more difficult for those who have a high need to even obtain an education unless they're very high academic level and they're able to get merit aid to kind of supplement their costs. But they've been talking to my colleagues, they're dealing with some of the same things, and a lot of it depends on where you fall in the USA rankings. You know, my colleagues who are in a top 25 institution, they've got the endowment that can really afford to give strong financial aid packages, and I think that really helps the value. But if you're below the top 25, why would they go to your school? You know, that's when the parents really start to question, well, if you're using a division, well, you're no Stanford, you know, why should we pay Stanford money to go to, you know, no offense, to like I won't even name a school because I don't want to offend anyone, but I think they pay a lot of attention to their rankings, and that plays a big part into what they're willing to pay. And if you're not at that level, then they really start questioning the value of that.
All right, well, it sounds like a lot of these problems probably aren't going away anytime soon. So it's probably on the presidents and athletic directors, even coaches, to emphasize the value of education and emphasize the value of the outcomes of education and those type things.
Yes.
Well, it sounds like you're doing an excellent job there, or trying to do an excellent job there at Allegheny. You stay in tune to what's going on in Division III. You communicate with your fellow athletic directors and presidents, and hopefully only good things can come for the NCAA's biggest division.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think we're all just, you know, trying to find our niche and finding where we can bring in the individuals that will value our institutions and value the education that we have to bring forward. And I know the great thing about a lot of liberal arts institutions is small class sizes, the personalized approach, the ability to be hands-on with your research, and the opportunity to dabble in a lot of different things. Whereas if you go to some institutions, you're locked into a curriculum. You know, you have to follow a path if you want to graduate in 4 years. We really kind of value flexibility and the ability to find yourself, and I think that's something that's really priceless. No one wants to pay, you know, however much money to not get a degree or not figure out what you want to do, but if you figure out who you are as a person and you come out learning how to be a better citizen of the world, then I think there's a lot of value with that, and it doesn't necessarily have a price tag attached to it.
Well, excellent, Portia. You know what, I really appreciate you sitting down and talk to us about what's important in Division III.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
That was Portia Hoeg. She is the Director of Athletics at Allegheny College. She is a true champion for Division III athletics. And this is Ty Brown with one question. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today. This episode of One Question is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.